Alright, so I like behind the scenes content. I think it's pretty neat, You see the scenes, and then you have a peek behind the scenes. And I've got scenes, little bit of background story. So essentially, if you're going to animation school, you will have assignments, as with any school. And in animation school, generally those assignments have to do with animating or making films, or both, usually. The school I go to has 2 film assignments. You got one in your bachelor year and one in your master year. And I'm right now working on the one in my master year, but that means that I've actually already done a short film in my bachelor year, and it was bad. It was a bad film. It should not have been made. Not very good. They say everyone has a story to tell. I disagree. That was a story that should not have been told. Golden tip for if you're going to make a short film: wanting to make a short film but not having a story is not a good motivator. I've seen a lot of people who didn't really have an initial idea, and then they feel like they can just cover up their lack of a underlying story by just making really pretty animation or using a bunch of effects. Fix it in post. But that's not going to work. Yeah, generally these films don't end up very good. I like to go off of the idea of everything goes downhill from here. So when you initially start with a thing, just imagine it's not going to get better than that. So you got to make that initial idea as good as possible, because it's all downhill from here. So what was my idea, you might ask? Well, I didn't have one. But Annabelle, then why did you want to? Okay, so here's the thing: when you graduate college, you're an adult. The buffer period is over. You gotta face real life and taxation and stuff like that. And I was terrified of being an adult, so I constructed a plan, you see. I constructed a plan. I was either going to do my master, which was not really an option because I didn't have any idea of what I wanted to do for my film, or I was going to get a job. Yeah, I didn't want to do that one because jobs scare me. It was later that I realized that having a job in animation is essentially the same as being in college for animation, because they're the same people that work with you, but then they graduated. Like, I genuinely could not fathom that you can make friends at work. Like, I was not aware of that. I thought that was not an option. Little non-graduated me thought, like, no, if I graduate college, I will fall into a void, which is adult life, and I can't do that. I'm not ready for it. Panic ensued. I didn't have a story. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any future prospects. And then it hit me, like a Eureka, the same amount of significance as the Eureka moment from that one Eureka man. Okay, so I need to give some context for this next part to make sense. Imagine it's 2008. Obama is just become president. There's a financial crash. Twilight has just hit the theaters and become an international phenomenon. And I was busy being 8. And as any other 8-year-old, I was obsessed with myths and legends, because that's what 8-year-olds do. Specifically, that thing people do where they mash up 2 different animals to create a third, cooler animal, like a griffin or a manticore or some shit. And I was obsessed with this. In fact, I took to making my own, like this snake mixed with a squirrel, or this armadillo mixed with a squirrel, or this seahorse mixed with a squirrel. I don't know what was up with all the squirrels, but my favorite was this thing. It was a mix between a cat and a bunny, and I was obsessed. I drew on everything. For every school assignments, I had this Nintendo game called Draw to Life, and you know what I drew for my hero? I drew her, because you could draw your own hero. That's why it was called Draw to Life. And then one day, as I was pacing up and down my room, listening to anime music and making up fake scenarios in my head, I got it. I came up with the first act of the feature film starring her and an owl for some reason. Only one problem: I couldn't figure out what the rest of the movie would be about. I only had that first act. But that couldn't be enough for a feature-length film. It was too short. Get what I mean? Short, because it's for a short. Get what I get it. At this point, I was unstoppable. I had my idea. It was good. I liked it. I had it a frog for some reason. Now all I had to do was storyboard and design and animate and edit and post it and do everything else. But it was fine. It's fine. Until I got a job and I injured my hands. But that will explain next time. Goodbye.